call to order and at 7 o'clock after that.
So we go for the form and that's it.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, we do, 6 o'clock, I think you said 7.
I was gonna say at 7,
Oh,
meeting at 7 o'clock, yeah.
oh, confuse me, I'm old.
You don't see well.
I don't see well,
Can't see.
but other than that, it's perfect.
Okay, we'll start on the top of the agenda, acceptance of secretary's report. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
All right, discussion?
Wait a second.
Oh, sorry, I heard two people.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
sorry.
No.
I didn't say anything.
If there's no discussion on the secretary's report, we will take a roll call vote to accept the motion, or to vote on the motion. Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes, passes unanimously. Our first participant. Keep going.
Hi, Jackie, can you hear us?
Next item on the agenda, acceptance of monthly staff reports. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? There's a second. Discussion. Who was our leak?
Which one?
Our new roof leak.
Which one?
I can't remember where it was, but it was on the new edition. It's on that side.
All right.
And it came down into the staff room. And it also was on the second floor by the restroom. But it was a hole in the roofing, in the rubber, yeah, and they're coming through. They already repaired it. Dave is waiting for another rainstorm to make sure the repair works before we say that's done. But it was a big hole, he could see it. Usually they're pinpricks and they're hard to see, but this was big.
You know, does he have any guess as to what happened or how?
No, but at least it's the older road, it's
So
not
I
the,
guess that was the
yeah,
next
it's not the new one, yeah.
So when do we start agitating for that roof to be replaced?
That has to go on, we have we're getting a quote. And, it has a little more life in it, that's what we were told before. But it should be on the list of, within so many years,
Right.
yeah.
So we have a new member of the team.
We do, Kat Lewin. And so far, she seems to be enjoying it. She got a couple of compliments today. So she pretty much hit the ground running.
Where's she from?
She last worked in Tewksbury. She's been there for a long time, actually.
There's a note in your section, Catherine, about two things I find. One is that ICF assessed the library. Who's ICF stand for?
I'm not sure. I looked it up and I don't remember. It's some kind of carbon footprint company. It's a nonprofit that evaluates. And I don't know the town got a grant. I don't recall if it was a commission or who it was, but they'll issue a report, which hopefully could be useful.
And then you had made a note about the Civil War Monument rededication, and you said, see the reference report.
And then it wasn't in the
Yeah.
records report, I know, I
It was like a scavenger hunt.
it was afterwards, I looked at it, oh, I forgot to tell Karen about that. It all happened kind of late. So Amanda and I were invited to a town discussion that I think was convened by Bob Vincent. And there's a committee that wants to put together an event in next May for the anniversary of that monument, because it'll be rededicated, so it's the anniversary of the dedication. But the dedication itself was really interesting. So it was, Nancy Bertrand was there, and they've got time to put together various things that might be of interest to the
How long
public.
ago was the dedication?
How what,
How long ago was the dedication?
was it 150 years? Yeah, I lose track of time, because I'm not 19 anymore, but I'm thinking, when was the 350? Yeah. So after the Civil War. But the woman who got the funding for it, and it was significant, and we may have things in our archive, and Amanda has just spent a year working on that. So we'll see what we can contribute. It looks like a fun event though.
How did the newsletter for Let Free and Read perform?
I don't know. Jackie, we'll have to look that up. I sent a separate newsletter with
What was
Let Free.
What was the question?
I sent a separate newsletter for Let Freedom Read Day. Do you remember that? We should
Yes.
look at how that performed, if people opened it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't check.
Yeah, because it was,
You can look.
we should look at,
I was curious,
because we
you,
typically do pretty well, so I wonder
Yeah.
if that only had one thing in it, so.
yeah, that's what I was curious
Yeah.
about. What do you use, MailChimp or?
Constant contact.
Okay. Looks like chair yoga rocked it too, huh?
Went to that.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's like
I love
chair
reading
yoga,
this
like, that's a big number.
What?
The chair yoga,
Oh, yeah.
it's a Friday at 11, and I work from home and I live across the street, it's like, great. Yeah,
That's great,
yeah,
yeah.
it was great.
And what exactly is chair yoga?
You sit in the chair, the yoga.
Do different stretches and stuff, and and the people who attended, I was only able to make 3 of the 4 sessions, but it was like the same people we get over a week, and they just loved the instructors. Like I know there were other things scheduled and stuff, but they had really great things to say about it, so. It was
Yeah,
great, it was
instructor's
great.
great.
Good.
So the idea is that we do these things, it gives people a taste of what it's like, and then you may wanna follow up and maybe get your own trainer or go other places and do it. And then if we see a lot of people like it, we might repeat it and do it again. But there's something else in that series coming up next, I don't know what it is, I don't remember what it is next. But it's something with well-being and
Great.
Reiki, is it Reiki? Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of thing like, I don't know what Reiki is, so you
Yeah,
can go and find out,
Yeah, damn it.
And chair yoga, you don't have to get up off the floor when you're done.
It's a bonus for some of us.
Yeah, but there's some people who wanna try, but don't wanna have to get off the floor.
Mhm.
So how are the library pods doing?
I looked yesterday, from September 16th until yesterday, we had 100 approvals.
Wow,
Wow.
So that's how many, if those are approvals, it means that we used.
okay. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
So
and it hasn't, I don't know when that went into the newsletter, but more than half of that time it had not been promoted yet.
Wow,
So, yeah, people just found it,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
They look good, they do fit in nicely.
And they're comfortable, they're not, I mean, not bad, I wouldn't wanna say they're okay, but
Right.
the fact that it's glass makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You don't feel so enclosed.
And the sightlines are so good in the building that they almost kind of,
It's almost better than what was there before.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause it's lighter.
That's not opaque. It's not opaque.
Yes, exactly.
How has the sign up and that sort of system gone?
So far, so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
Right.
we've
confusion about whether they need to sign up or anything.
not too much,
Pretty clear.
sort of been able to, yeah.
Good.
do we need more?
Nope, is that it? You all done?
No.
Any more questions?
I'm good. All right, so if there's nothing else, we'll, move ahead to vote. On a motion to accept. Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes,
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes, that's unanimously. Public participation. Let's double check our Zoom. Just Jen. Okay. So then we'll move ahead to correspondence. See anything?
No, there was none this month.
Moving right along to budget. I'm ready to, so this is the ongoing budget with money in hand. We will talk about the draft 26 budget later on in the agenda. So there's a couple of line items that look like they're running hot.
We're spending early, but we're still in good shape.
Okay, the one that jumps out is HVAC is 98% spent.
Oh, yeah, so what happened with HVAC is that I signed up for a maintenance plan. And that maintenance plan was not in this budget. So if I run into trouble with that, I'll go to state aid. But I'm kind of hedging my bets that I won't run into trouble with it because of utilities. I think I'll save a little bit on utilities, but that could happen, that could maybe not happen. So in the event I've made a mistake, I will go to state aid. And when we get to the new budget, you'll see that I've written in that, that maintenance budget as a new item.
Yeah, well, that's the important thing to be captured going forward.
It's an upfront cost, but it saves us a little bit.
Okay.
So we started spending a lot when the air conditioning kept breaking.
Right.
And then they recommended this plan, which covers not everything, but some things, but it also prioritizes you when you want somebody to come out. And it includes maintenance, which Dave had been doing, and I really think we should have somebody who has access to the latest equipment,
Yeah.
and somebody who's trained to do that,
Sure.
doing that.
And then we are 77% spent on maintenance and improvement for the building.
On which one?
So just below HVAC.
Building maintenance and improvements. What's that? I can't remember. There's something that I've paid in advance. That has a copier thing that's paid early. I don't remember the details, but I do remember that we're not in trouble with that. We've paid up front.
Okay. All right, doesn't leave us a ton of wiggle room with
No, it's not a lot of wiggle room, but we are not, like the full total purchase of services is 46%, which is, you could think that's a little bit high, but it's not really. Because so many things are paid earlier, you know, telephone's already paid.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not worried
Yeah.
about that, or the network services.
Right. Right. So the building maintenance and improvement, the other thing that's in there is some plumbing. And that was calculated too, that I wanted to, that was worth doing. A couple of things we had to do, but also there were some improvements there.
Yeah, the only other one that's kind of outpacing the calendar is office supplies, but I'm not sure you can dial that up and down. as
Yeah,
need
you
to.
know why that looks high? Because that's where I put the IT equipment.
Yeah.
And it all was bought at the beginning of the year.
Got it.
So none of that actually is office supplies, it's all the new computer equipment.
And that seems a lot easier to kind of tighten the belt, buy fewer staples or whatever.
Right.
Next month, I'll provide details of some of these.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, the ones that look like they're running.
yeah,
The
yeah.
rest is,
Just so you can see. See, Jackie, that's what we need QuickBooks for. Just had a battle with QuickBooks over the weekend.
are they still wildly expensive?
Yes, well, I thought I could get it for $80, and I can't transfer our existing QuickBooks to the $80 version. And I believe it's because we use it in such a funky way that when I tried to copy it over to a new company, it thinks, it doesn't know where to go, it doesn't know where to put things, because it's not, we're not a small business. But it's the only software I've found that will do a sub-account, and that's really what we need for sub-accounts. So when you ask questions about building maintenance and improvements, that's got all the sub-accounts.
Okay.
Got it.
But the town only sees that one line, they see it as one line.
I'm done poking. Anyone else want to ask?
Good. No, it's good.
Okay, building and grounds. What is the plan for the steps in the plaza?
I'm waiting on Joe Conway, and I'm thinking now it's probably not gonna get done until spring,
Sure.
because it's kind of late.
We can get all the numbers though to be ready to hit the ground running. That would be in the spring.
To have all the numbers?
Yeah, do we the trustees need to contact Joe or is that something
No,
you're taking care of?
that's good. We're trying to figure out how we have, grant money, we have state money
Oh, that's
to
right.
do the project.
Yeah.
And, it may or may not have to go out to bid, we're trying to figure that out.
Okay.
So, but I'm on his agenda.
Okay. Very good. Anything else for building and grounds, anybody?
No, there'll be more in the next couple of months.
Sure. Friends,
I think Adam was
Yeah,
supposed to be at the last Friends meeting.
Jackie went and I just took a couple of notes. And I think the important thing to know is that they have the herd for one final year. They've done a strategic plan that is incredible. I thought it was fantastic. It focuses on providing the library resources, promoting our services, and advocacy. All really good things. They're working on organizing their Google Drive and documents, and the person doing it really knows what they're doing. and that looks great. They have 30,000 in a CD and 15,000 on hand, and they gave us 65,000. So that's the money for the pods and museum passes and everything we need until summer.
Boy, that's
So
great.
that's for the year. Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's really good.
And they have 325 members. And next meeting, I believe Jack is not here and I'm gonna cover that one.
325 members.
Yeah, that's what I saw in there.
Which I think that's up pretty good.
Yeah, I wanna check
If
that
I
out.
recall, I thought it was little twos.
Yeah, so it's probably a little better than that. But it's still, not even 400, that's,
Can they, or will they share the strategic plan with us?
oh, I have it, I can
You
share it
have-
with you,
Yeah,
yeah.
just curious to look
Yeah.
at it, especially.
Yeah.
For the minutes, they said they've done a strategic plan that focuses on providing the library with resources, something.
Promoting our services, library services.
Advocacy was,
And you give two budget numbers besides 65K they gave to us, how much they had.
yeah,
They gave us 65,000 and they have 30 in a CD and 15 on hand.
Okay, anything else from friends?
Nope.
Gift funds, anybody have any questions?
There's nothing there this month.
Legislative advocacy,
Nothing new on that this month
it's
either.
been a quiet period.
Yeah.
nothing on ebooks, I know that was something, no
No.
update there yet.
No, I think that's,
So they're still cleaning up business from last session.
I think so.
Okay. Personnel,
I don't have anything.
Just cat.
Yeah, that's,
Something.
that's the big one.
Yes.
Annie took on the teen librarian role, or was it?
Oh, Annie took that on.
Yeah.
And we changed the name from young adults to teen.
So that,
Now young adults is.
not quite a reorg, but that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Okay, that's it for committee reports, unless anyone has to go next. We'll move on to new business. IT glue assets, I appreciate in particular seeing that list.
So we couldn't really find anything to print. So and Megan's on vacation, so I said I would cover this, and then if you have questions and you wanna see it, she can come next month and answer your questions, or you can come in and stand over her shoulder and see what she has, because that's actually more interesting.
So, true, for real, tell me for real, would she be weirded out if I did that?
No, cause she would probably stand next to you so that you weren't standing over
Yeah,
her.
okay.
Or she'd let you
Well-
sit at her desk or whatever and see it. But it's worth seeing what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
But it does look a lot like this, which is a little mind numbing. But there's so much information that you can put into it. And you create the categories that you want, and then you can call up a report for any of those categories. So all of these rows of information are connected. So if she needed to know what needs to be replaced in this fiscal year, it will draw from all of its data and say, these are the replacement things for this fiscal year.
All those great features that would make it very difficult to print out.
Right, exactly. So, it might be, I thought, well, could we come up with a report? And we could, but you need to see both sides of it, like how much is really available. And she can create the categories, so it's whatever she wants to call it and thinks that she'll have a need for. And they also track repairs and calls and all of that stuff. So they really know, they're able to chart a single piece of equipment and say, this is what happened with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is there a link between this and the budget that she used, but
there could be, it's not so much that there's a physical link, but I could say, what are you gonna need in the next 3 fiscal years?
Good, yeah.
And that would be a report that would say, these are the estimated, so he or she has estimated replacement cost.
Yep.
And there's nothing in that column, because it's too early to know what those, she can't come up with an estimate yet. But a lot of things are now cheaper than they used to be, and so those things, it's almost better to leave it blank than to fill it in.
Yeah. Because as you develop the 26 budget, and more information comes in, it's gonna show up, it may show up here first.
Yeah, for FY 26, it probably won't, because I already need that information now. Yeah, so for FY 27, we'll use it.
It's a great idea. Once you have it up and running, you just need to pull the report and dump it into whatever else you're doing to pull together your budget. That's great.
Right. So we're happy with it, and Jackie's using it for HR, and I'm gonna use it for the building. And I believe it's gonna be part of the strategic plan when we do that.
Are the people the assets in that case? Is that how that would work for HR?
Yeah. So if we wanna know for a report, what this people's start date was, who gets raises in July or January, because that affects the budget. She'll be able to run these reports and just get that data without,
Awesome.
really good. So we're happy with that.
All right, if there's nothing else on that, we'll move on to the pod policy.
So this is not a voting item, you don't need to vote on this policy. And since I sent it to you, we have changed it no longer says library pods, it says virtual meeting booths. And we've said that so that people know exactly what it is that they're going in there for. So it is a policy, but it's my policy and it's more of a procedure, but the public sees it as the policy. And it is always more complicated because you're sharing a scarce resource and you have to think about everybody. Whereas when people come in, they're thinking about them. I have to do this, why can't I? And there's all these reasons why you can't, so we have to account for those things, but make it pleasant. Make it so it's not like, you can't, well, this is why you can't do that. So the timing becomes important, how long, so that people know if you have an appointment with somebody on Zoom, you need to know you can get in there, that there's not gonna, so has to be appointments and it has to be regulated. So we tried it this way so far. Several people worked on writing this up. And I also thought it was important to say that not everybody's gonna be comfortable in there and it's not gonna suit everybody. It's not ADA compliant. So in the event somebody who needed that compliance, we would give them this room because this is ADA compliant and it's the same thing, you even have a screen here. So we are offering a similar thing without, even though you can't actually use that because you can't get in it. And so that's that. And so far it's, we noted that it's sound dampening, it's not soundproof. So you can't go in with your drum set and think it's gonna be okay because there are people still studying there. So we sort of have covered all the bases and so far it's worked.
Would it be useful to put a rule in, a policy in about one person in there at a time?
I don't think
Is
so,
that
because,
necessary?
no, because actually if two people went in there, if they would fit, I don't know, so Jackie, if you and I tried to get in there and do a Zoom meeting, one of us would have to stand probably,
Yes.
but we
Yeah.
could do it.
I mean, the first line says 2 single occupancy pods, so
Oh, that's
See
right,
See right, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
Okay, that'll probably do it.
I don't know how often it happens that there's more than one person who wants to do it. I mean, that more than one person on a Zoom call.
we've not had anyone try.
Yeah.
No.
Right, it doesn't say single occupancy right there, I missed that.
Okay,
I don't know how many times we read it, but. So that's all, you don't have to vote on it, I just wanted you to see it, to know that this is
Thank you.
this is what people get.
It's good to have that in writing document.
Yeah, and if somebody asks you a question about it, you have an idea that, yeah, there's a method to the madness that goes through reference and it goes through, the meeting room booking thing, you can book online. And, it's designed to work smoothly, if people are not on top of one another.
All right, anything else on the? We're not calling it the pod policy anymore, but the pod policy.
Yeah, virtual meeting room
Virtual
policy.
meeting room policy. All right, well, let's move on to draft FY 26 budgets.
So this is the first draft of the budget, and I'm thinking it might even be the final draft. I met with the department heads, Steve met with all the department heads, and he asked for 0 increases except for contractual obligations for salaries. And other than that, he didn't want any, he wants flat. Which I did not do, but I think I can make a case for the few things that I added and changed. So our personal services increase is 3.6%. And then I just have about $10,000 in other things that I've increased. If you look on the narrative section, I had put them in red, the things that were changing. And so in building maintenance HVAC, that we have the new contract. And I decreased repairs because there will be some contract savings there. But it's still an increase overall. And there's also been an increase in contractual water testing that happens for the heating system. So that increases that whole thing from 14,000 to 19,000. And then a couple of pages beyond that, account 5316, which is professional services. There were changes in software licensing. So every year I go through all the software and look at, what we have. So for instance, this year it's gonna include IT Glue, which it didn't in the other years. But then there were other things we took out. We used to use something called Library Aware that sent newsletters. We don't do that anymore. The youth room newsletter is now part of Contact in Contact, so that's just one fee. So those numbers changed a little bit, but the total is the same. And one of those items is $5,700. That counts towards, that's items that patrons use, so that counts toward our materials expenditure requirement. So that's 5316. Above that, in 5244, equipment maintenance, we have a new printer service contract. We also have fewer printers. These are printers that are around the building, like for the public to use. It's not the copier printer, it's they're printers. And they're with HP. And that's decreased, so we have some savings there. We have a new contract for maintenance on those printers. And you really need that because if people need to print, they have to get their printer. Then there's a change to Noble, that's contractual, and all the Noble libraries share in that. So some of the increase is in overdrive, that counts for, that counts toward materials. Not a big change, they're very good at keeping things in line, considering how much we get from them. And then what else? Public, in 5422 under materials and supplies, I kept red last year's increase, that was the computer equipment. That's the same amount this year, but I wanna remind everyone that our computer equipment is in that line item. And the only other increase is in books and publications. So I added 5,000 in books and publications because we do have to meet a percentage of what we spend. 13% has to be spent on materials. And we haven't really upped that much the last several years. And we have other resources to cover that, but it sort of becomes dominoes, that if you get too far behind and you're using those other resources aren't there for other things like maybe upholstery, or we have items that are not in the budget at all. And so state aid and our gift funds, that's what we do with that. So if we have to put money into, and even with this number, we still will have to add some gift funds into materials, which we do every year, and I think that's a good idea. It might be that you vote to actually use the First Financial Trust funds instead of some of the other ones that I've been using. But we haven't needed very much of it, we've been in pretty good shape, and everything that's been left that we've had extra. So I've been able to do good things with the extra money, like getting the parking lot paved and stuff. That was a big one to be able to get that in there. So, both Steve and Kevin said pretty much the party's over, the opera money's gone, things are a little bit unpredictable, and we really want to be careful. I heard that very clearly. So in the event, and we are small potatoes, I am currently talking about $5,000, but it's the percentage that they look at. So in the event he really wanted this cut, I would probably take the 5,000 from there, from 5511, and say, all right, we'll keep it there, and I'll use other resources, yeah, for that. But if they're okay with leaving it, I think it's a good move to have it there, because the next year, it puts us in a better position than,
You go too many years without it, you'll be in a position where you can never catch up.
yeah. And we were in that position for a long time, so much so that I remember the year that it was a big deal that Steve funded that line item in full. And it was the first time in like a decade that we had the full 13% was in that line item.
So how short are we with that, assuming we get the 5,000? How much more are we going to supplement out of gift funds or state aid or whatever?
Well, this year, it's about $6,000.
6,000 more.
We would take $6,000 from state aid, usually I take it from.
We're not even covering half of our vote,
Half of our what?
our target.
What?
Our target,
Oh,
the number that we have to hit to make certification. So 11,000 the total, and we're asking for 5. Is that right?
oh, yes, we'll still be using some. And I think it's legitimate to still use some, because part of what happens is, at the end of the year, you want to have expended all of the money that you've been allotted by the town. So if we continue to spend another $5,000 or $6,000 out of state aid, those are books that may come in the next fiscal year or this fiscal year. It doesn't have to count for our certification numbers. And so it gives us flexibility to use state aid, $5,000 or $6,000 of state aid at the end of the year to buy summer reading books. So we kind of have always done that, had this little flexible $5,000 or $6,000 of state aid. Some years we don't need it. There were some years that we cut back on, on databases. We had a lot of databases that weren't being used, and when we dropped those databases, we had thousands of dollars left over. So sometimes mid-year that happens too.
Well, yeah, I'm not looking to soak the town, just trying to understand that if we're gonna have the town foot the bill for the whole thing, we'd be looking
Right.
at more like a 4.5% upper on materials and supplies rather than 2.1%.
Right. That sounds right.
All right, I definitely understand that we need to be spending some of the gift funds. We're in a pretty good place with all of that. Books are kind of bread and butter, right?
Right.
There's the library, there's the lights, the books, and the librarians, right? That's the kind of what makes the library.
Yeah.
So if we're showing ourselves on one of those lines, that's on the one hand it's kind of tough, but I understand where Steve's coming from. Okay. And given the number of times the library has been listed as an official cooling center
I know.
over the
That's-
summer, I think it's more than appropriate that
Yeah.
we as a town chip in a little bit to help us out with the HVAC.
I imagine they will gladly do that, because we're really the only one who can do that.
Absolutely. All right, I'll stop talking now. Will's wants to say.
Don't stop talking. It's like asking Bert to stop typing in the notes. I mean, you don't rely on talk slower.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes, that was all I had.
Okay, so we do need to vote on this.
Yeah, so the idea is that if you approve this draft, which could be final, I'll submit it to the town, and then they'll come back with whether or not they're happy with it.
Okay.
And that will probably take a while, because they've got a town meeting coming up, they're not thinking about this yet.
Yeah, we have much bigger fish to fry, yes. Okay. Anything else before we return to vote? Okay, is there a motion to approve the FY26 draft budget?
I make a motion to approve the FY26 draft budget.
Second. If there's no other discussion, we'll vote. Chris?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Moving on to the last item of new business, the FY26 action plan.
So this is due to the state December 1st. So if you had any changes, we still have time to do it. The goals and objectives were things that we had already put in the plan that you had voted on. So the triple digit things are the actions that the staff and Jackie and I came up with to meet those goals and objectives. And this would go into effect after July of this is FY26, so that's July 1st, 2025. And it focuses on staff training, including shadowing, which the staff would really like to do and we did years ago and really, really like, and that you're shadowing people at other desks so that it makes everybody more flexible. It's really useful, and we haven't done that in a long time. And then having standard operating procedure manuals for each department, which would probably take a year to do, that's a lot. Megan's been doing that in tech services, but the rest of us.
Like I said, are there any other SOPs currently, or?
Probably, sort of, but yeah, so some would need to be updated and there might be a couple of desks, like reference had something.
Yeah, sure.
There are things, but they're not one whole manual that covers everything, which is what I think we want.
So if it's a good idea and it's just a go-do rather than, you don't need to go out to bid for anything like that.
No,
We don't
we'll
have
do-
to wait until
No, we'll
next
do it
year.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it in-house. But I can imagine people starting writing something saying, oh, we don't wanna do it like this.
Right.
And then you're back to the drawing board coming up with something new. So that could take a while. For objective 2, evaluating the library building, will invest, and the website, will investigate design firms so that the following fiscal year we'll probably get a new website. Our website is painful. Jackie pretty much maintains the bulk of it, and there's such funky things in it that she doesn't wanna take the time to train somebody else to do it because it's complicated. It's a WordPress thing that's a lot of work. So we'll see if we can redo that. And a lot of things will have changed by then, even with Noble, I think. And then create a comprehensive guide to the online resources. So a lot of why people don't use some of the online resources is because they all have little tricks of getting into them. You can read the New York Times, but it's not as easy as just clicking the app. You actually have to get it, so they've made it a little, you're gonna get it for free, you're gonna pay for it. So if we have something that shows people how to do that, and it might help us to straighten that out a little bit too, if we can. And then objective 3 was adding relevant building information to IT Blue. So by the time it gets to the building information, Megan will be probably done with most of her section. And then cultivating connection, we'll look at publicity and services in other languages. Having youth librarians go to PTO meetings. I did that before and it pays off, because you're right there with parents. Determine whether or not we wanna do an event for children entering kindergarten. We did that before, but we don't know if it's necessary anymore because they have toil now, so we have to check into that. But when we did it, people really liked it, especially if they had first children going into the system for the first time. A series of programs that lend themselves to building connections, including more opportunities that encourage socializing. So we're trying to encourage socializing, that's something that people want. And I saw this weekend that someone has an app, and you go to a physical place to do it. It's like speed dating, but it's speed friending. And so if you move to a new city and you're interested in, I wanna go apple picking, they had meetups that did something similar, but this is like a speed, you get they give you a topic to talk about. So people interested in that topic will go and you have refreshments and then you have a speed meeting with somebody and you talk. And then I think the idea is that you'll get groups of people, not just one-on-one, but several people, and it's a way to meet people. Because I guess it is harder to meet people than it used to be. I don't really know why that is, but it is. So there's that, and increased offerings of passive programs that will stimulate conversation among attendees. So giving people an opportunity to connect. And then the communication part of it is, marketing committee with a consultant to streamline and update the branding. By the time we do this, it would be nice to get the youth room, like, we've got some good branding a while ago, it really needs to be updated a little bit. And get the whole building in the same kind of thing. And then we'd like to meet with Jen McDonald and identify ways that we can work together. We've done that a little bit already, but I'd like to do a little more of that later on. What's interesting is that Noble did a strategic plan at the same time, and many of their things match this. So they've got a heavy focus on training staff so that every library is doing the same thing the same way. That if you have certain permissions in the Noble system, that you are trained according to those permissions to do those things, and that everybody at every library is on the same page with it. We won't all have the same rules and everything, but you know how everything stands. And they were also looking to have more training where people are together, because the librarians don't know each other the way that they used to. We used to always, if they had a meeting, you had to go there. So everybody, if you're meeting someone from Swampscott and finding out all these things about Swampscott that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
And now so much is on Zoom that, it's great because more people can attend these meetings, but the downside is that you don't meet people the same way. Sometimes the conversations you have in the parking lot give you unbelievable information. So they're looking to do a little bit more of that, so it will blend in with what we're doing at the same time. And that's it, I think.
For the website, because I feel like
We
you just did the website, and I know
just
that
do
I feel like I'm traumatized for Jackie. So just like to, and I understand they have to, but just from like a bandwidth issue and a budget issue and all that, so it'd be starting to redesign FY 27. Do you anticipate it would be like a total overhaul of the current site, or kind of looking at Jackie?
Yeah.
Screen,
We'll
how much of
probably have to see what's available.
It would be a big project. It would need to be, our site right now is very pretty, but it is not easy to maintain.
So it's the maintenance that's the problem, it's not complaints from the user about usability.
No, it's really that everything is sort of finagled. Everything is kind of like held together with duct tape, and we can't change a lot very easily. It's not very flexible. We've had anytime we want to kind of add something or remove something, we're sort of having to fake it a little bit. It's gone okay. It's just not possibly the most streamlined process.
And you're running out of duct tape?
Yeah.
We might be running out of duct tape.
You could be talking about QuickBooks.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same thing. So
Same idea.
We've taken this thing and we've made it work for us, but it's not,
But the user
Doesn't
doesn't
translate.
have difficulty.
no.
What's that?
The users don't have difficulty, it's putting the
No, I
content
mean,
in.
We always have, no one I don't think has trouble using it. People have trouble finding things, but a lot of that's fairly common. Finding the right term to call something is really hard. The way people see, like, what we call a database does not mean anything to most of the world. So you have to name things the right way. You have to kind of put them in the most intuitive place. It's a fairly, for a website, it's of an organization that's so small, it's actually quite deep. I think we have close to 100 pages. We used to have 300 and we whittled that down, but it continues. It still grows. We add a page for this, we add a page for this. And it's all of those kind of sub menus and subheadings and sub pages just add to the kind of the layers of how people have to use it. It's also not indexed very well, because we didn't discover that, so it's not searchable. And it is, but it's not perfect. We have a lot of things that allow us to, a lot of features that allow us to condense the information. So we have accordions and so like when you hit the little plus sign, it expands that information. When things are in those formats, they're not automatically searched by the search function at the top. They're not indexed. So we have to manually index a lot of those, which takes a lot of time and isn't a perfect solution. So it's just not, I think sometimes people don't usually find things eventually, but maybe not as quickly as I would like them to. Barring putting everything in quick links, I'm not sure how to do that because everybody's looking for something different.
Exactly.
It's very pretty though.
It is.
And you want people to discover things, and it's hard to make it discoverable because it's, if you're looking for something, it's nice to come upon another thing that matches that. But we really just have to,
It's just all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah, we
You kind of have to
do
know
the best we can do.
what it is you're looking for.
before
So,
you-
so my previous two organizations had challenging websites, so I see what you mean, and it's like, the information's there, but you kind of have to know what you're looking for to navigate, and it's like that kind of defeats the purpose, like you said, the search is great and the discoverability, so.
Right? Sometimes I can't find things and I go there.
Yeah, no, I
So
know,
they-
no,
I know what I'm
I
looking for. I'm not asking, I'm not using the right term, or it doesn't take me too long, but it won't be totally intuitive, because there's a lot there, it's hard to have it all and.
Well, part of the problem is like when we went to design this, they kind of say, even though they do library websites, they were like, well, what's your demographic? And we were like, everyone.
Yeah,
So,
right.
if you have a brand or a store, or like an online store, like you're looking at a target group of people, but we're for everyone. So you could be looking for books or genealogy or the New York Times, and those are all going to be in different places, and you're going to think of them differently and search them differently. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, there's a lot in the library,
yeah,
so there you go.
It's just like,
There's a lot in the library, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. There's a lot that needs to go there.
But even a single
come
thing will be searched for differently by the different demographics. So if you're looking for something for your child, or you're looking for something for you, or you're a certain age or a certain demographic type, you have a different way of what you call it, how you look.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy.
can you give an example of a passive program?
Oh. Can
A
you
scavenger
give-
hunt.
Thank you. Yeah, scavenger hunt. So it's the kind of thing that you come in and there's no time necessarily, like the duck contest is passive. If you have a jar on the table and it's, how many things are in it kind of thing. An estimated jar. So anybody can come in at any time. The puzzles in the room, in the living room. Yeah, you can kind of do it on your own. Or with people, depending on how you wanna do it.
Any action for the trustees on the action plan? We just observing and commenting, or do we need to vote?
You need to vote, and this will be sent to the MBLC to complete our plan.
Okay.
And I'll also send it to a few stakeholders who are interested, like Marine, likes to get it, and a couple of patrons have asked for it.
Okay, if there's no other questions or discussion, we can move to a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the FY 26 action plan.
Sure. Okay. If there's no other discussion, we'll vote. Chris? Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair.
I just back up to the previous page of the packet with the organizational chart.
Sure. No,
I just, it was the Sunday hours are listed as 1 to 4, but it says it's 4 hours on the
Are
Sunday.
they 1 to 5? Just
I
1
think it's either 1 to 5 or it's
1 to 5, so that's a typo, thank you. Yep. Okay,
awesome. Anything else? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Very good. Let's vote, Chris. Yes. Laura?
yes.
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Meeting is adjourned at 8:12.
thank you.
Thank you.
We got a lot done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie. See you tomorrow.